Today's guest is Ryan Tanaka. Ryan has been deeply involved in the Tezos art community for years, helping build and support projects like teia.cafe, and the annual Tezcon gathering in Seattle. If you've spent time exploring digital art on Tezos, there's a good chance you've encountered something Ryan's helped shape. Whether it's infrastructure for creators, experiments around on chain media, or tools aimed at making decentralized platforms actually usable. Recently, Ryan has been working on bringing many of those experiments together, including features originally developed through teia.cafe, with the goal of strengthening Teia as a platform for artists and creators. Ryan, welcome to TezTalks Radio.
Hi, nice to see you again, Blanks.
Good to see you too, sir. Ryan, when people talk about the Tezos art scene, your name comes up in a lot of different places. teia.cafe, Tezcon. When someone outside of Tezos asks you what you do, how do you usually explain it?
It's actually quite difficult because, I feel like I'm in kind of like a pretty unique situation, right? Like I do have my own startup. So it's, it kind of depends who you're talking to, right? Like a lot of times I just like, it gets too complicated. So I'm like, oh, I work in tech, and then if they have further questions, then I'll explain more. But, for most people, they're just trying to ask the question, right? But what do I actually do, right? I'm actually trying to build an open source like community through my startup, which is teia.cafe. So, there's a lot of different intersections of a lot of different things. Like Teia is also a nonprofit, but we're traditional startup, and then but that's kind of like the landscape I'm navigating right now. Kind of the I don't know, the middle parts between like a nonprofit open source project and a tech startup, I guess. Right, using the blockchain, of course. Not to mention, like Teia itself, right, runs on a DAO. So, yeah.
Now, you were around during the Nunc era, which was one of the most unusual moments in the NFT space. When that platform shut down, a lot of people assumed the community would just scatter. What made you think it was worth rebuilding something instead of just moving on?
Well, I was actually I came in at the tail end of that. So I had a friend that pinged me towards what was happening on Tezos. Basically, she said like, "Wow, the art here is like really, really good, and you got to check it out." I'm like, "Okay." And then she was like, "Just couple of months actually." I was like, "Okay," she just kept on talking about it. I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll check it out." But I kind of got in around the time Nunc was shutting down, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, whoa, what's going on?" Like everyone's like freaking out for some reason. I don't understand, because I wasn't really looped in. But what drew me into the what's now known as Teia, right? The Teia really like was the community coming together, and they revived Nunc after it went down. The idea of like the community coming together and reviving it and like building it through a decentralized process, that really appealed to me. Like, I was like, wow, these people are serious, and especially since I come from a music background, I'm an artist, it was just kind of nice to see like, you don't see that too often, right? When in the creative communities, when they come together and like try to build something collectively, right? So so I just like hopped in, and I was there back when they were voting on the name too. Like Teia means web, right? In Portuguese, I believe. And that was sort of inherited from the Brazilian roots of Nunc, right, in that region. But We could have called it Sync. That was the other contender. There were other names that was proposed, and I was there when they were voting for it. And they're like, wow, like the community actually voted on what they wanted to call themselves. Like, I can't think of example, like where it's also on the blockchain, right? So the whole idea of like democratizing the process and like making collective decisions, and the fact that they pulled it off, right? I think Nunc was only down for like a day or two, and it was revived within 48 hours, I believe. So yeah, and so that was very inspiring, right? And I think a lot of people who was like watching it from afar was pretty like intrigued by the whole thing. So I just wanted to be a part of it. So, and I'm still here. I'm still here.
Oh, good. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, I'm not planning to. Damn, it's been 4 years. Oh, it's been a while.
We appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, one thing you've mentioned recently is that over time, a lot of the tools around Teia ended up scattered across different projects and websites. At what point did that fragmentation start to become a real problem for the community?
It was always a problem from the very beginning, And I remember like, even I was there when they revived the site. I would say that that's when I started getting involved. So I kind of saw everything from that point. But I remember like people would be, for what it's worth, everyone was trying to help the community, right? But everyone has their own different ways of doing it. So one person would be like talking to each other in a Twitter DM or on Discord, or, hey, we have these documents. Okay, it's in my Google Drive on this email, or it's on Notion, or it's on Matt. It's just like, after a while, you should look at our password manager. Thank God Zero created that thing. Otherwise, it wouldn't have. At least we have one place where all the passwords are stored. But if you look at the list, it's very, very, very long. So, so I've been talking about that recently because it is decentralized, but it's, to an average person out there, looks disorganized, right? Because we don't have a unified way of like managing everything. And for what it's worth, our members was like so committed that they were willing to endure that, right? It says a lot that people were willing to put up with all that crap, right? Just to keep it alive, right? And so it's, it's I don't necessarily see it as like a bad thing, but I think we're at a point where it makes sense to make things more streamlined, and even like legally, right? Teia, 2 years ago, we formed a nonprofit around Teia, and that's unheard of, like at least in the NFT ecosystem. I don't know anywhere else that went through that process, right? Because it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of documents. It's a lot of people having to show up, right? Even though some people had to KYC themselves to get their signature, right? And so it could have fell apart at any point, but it didn't. So I think that says a lot, right, about the commitment of the community. And so now we're better organized, like structurally speaking. And what I've been doing and what I've been pushing for the last year or so is to try to get all that scattered information. And it's still out there somewhere. We just want to like consolidate everything and make sure you can see everything and on the main site. So we're going to be doing a lot of work like that over the next couple of months. And and I think it'll help. Like, people, especially from like, we're trying to also raise money, right? Do some fundraising. And we got some success in that area recently. You'll probably hear about it by the time this video goes up. But yeah, and then it'll give people thinking about donating to us more reassurance, right? When they can see everything. So yeah, it's a lot of tedious things, but I think like it's about time we do it. Like, for example, you'll be able to see a clear list of all the multi-sig members, the budget, the fees, voting records, all the contracts that make Teia run will be right there. And we'll also be giving like power to the members to update like relevant links and all those things, like, because there's a lot of great projects on Tezos that are just kind of floating around everywhere, not just on Teia but everywhere. Right? So we want to bring it together and give people a place to like help with legibility, I guess. Yeah, and I think that'll make a big difference, like, because we have the talent here. We just have to like get a little bit more organized.
Ryan, running a platform through a DAO sounds great philosophically, but it also means decisions and development move through governance.
Yeah.
What are some of the things people might not realize how features actually get built and shipped in that kind of environment?
Well, so a lot of like what Teia is built upon is really like an open source, right? And we've been using that phrase a little bit more because we used to talk about DAOs and decentralized governance, but like a lot of it's hard conceptually, right, for a lot of people to like, what is that, right? What is a DAO? A lot of people don't even know what that is. So I think the easier way to think about Teia is that we're the open source community of NFTs, and art NFTs or whatever you want to call it. But so, like, for example, if you want to make a change to the site, anyone can create a pull request on our GitHub, which is open, it's open source. Then you can, we have a few devs that will review it and push it to production, right? And so that's kind of how it's always worked. Anyone's really open to doing it. If they don't like the way we run things that are on our site, they're always free to create their own version, right? So, yeah, so that's kind of like what's been keeping the whole thing going, because, yeah, just like real government, right? Like, when you do things in a decentralized way, a lot of times it's slower, right? It takes a little bit more time. But I think, for what it's worth, I think Teia has always been progressing. Even if the pace is a little slower than a traditional startup, like, we've always been making improvements. We're absorbing a lot of the projects that has shut down or ran out of momentum. So I think eventually Teia might just end up absorbing everything, because like it's open source, right? Like, if you have an idea and you don't want it to die, what's the best place to keep it alive, right? Just push it to open source and it'll be there. And we have a community of people willing to keep it running, right? And and if you think about it, like, a lot of the developments, even in like things like AI, for a long time, AI was an open source project. Like, the stuff you see in the last couple of years, that's some very recent thing. They're trying to commercialize the tech, right? But for a long time, it was an open source project. And so I like to think that, we're that for crypto or that for NFTs. And at some point, people are going to recognize the value, right? And that's kind of like why, that kept me going, right? This is why I'm still here. Like the best is yet to come, I guess.
You've spent years helping build tools and infrastructure for artists on Tezos.
Hmm.
If you step back and looked at the space as an artist instead of a builder, what's something you would still want that doesn't exist yet?
Well, we're actually working on a lot of those things, like the big thing that we worked on last year was a, the decentralized copyright registration system. And that's still there. It's still usable. Um, so I think the challenge for NFTs in particular is intellectual property, because if you look at how the entertainment and the arts industry works, that's kind of what keeps everything running. Like when you go to I use this example all the time, but when you go to a movie theater, right? What are you interacting with, right? You go there to see the movie. You're not there to buy the rights to the movie, right? You don't go on Netflix and be like, oh, can I buy that TV show? I want in, like, that's really not how most people interact with artworks, right? Most people actually interact with artworks through licensing, through IP, through distribution, right? And that's the layer that really hasn't been addressed yet. And it's not just crypto, though. That's always been a problem, like in the tech industry. Like you go all the way back to Napster, right? And even YouTube, AI, of course, right? That's a huge controversy. Regardless of your opinions of whether, like, how things should be done, it's always been a contentious issue that haven't quite figured out yet. So I think that, at least personally, it's these sorts of solutions are going to come out of like NFT technology, because it's right there, right? Like the problem is most relevant in that space, not DeFi, not AI. AI is sort of just using the material that's already there, right? With NFTs, you have to like confront it directly. So it's gonna take a while. Like I'm learning that it's gonna take a while, but I do think this is where the solution is gonna come out of eventually. Just because of necessity.
Makes sense. You've been building through multiple market cycles now. What
Hmm.
keeps you motivated to keep working on this when the excitement around the broader market slows down?
Well, I've been in crypto since 2013, 2014. I got in very early, and I've been lucky enough to actually make some money off this stuff. Um, but I do, but so when that comes with the perspective that things take time for one, and then markets go up and down. Because I remember in 2016 or so, I was like in Ethereum back then. I didn't know about Tezos back then, but I was in Ethereum, and then the price was like about $100. It shot up all the way up to 1,400, and then at the time that was like a big deal, and everyone went nuts. And then and for the reasons that are very similar to the last couple of years, is that people eventually lost faith in it, and they over marketed, and market got saturated. Then it crashed, and it went all the way down to $100. So 100, 1,400, 100, and it's like a 90% loss, or you know. So so even this cycle, I'm looking at the price. The price of Tezos. Like I was like I even said this a few times, like, I was like anticipating like even Tesla's going down to like a quarter. So, and then like, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Like sometimes you just have to go through the shit. It's, if you look at every cycle, it's just like, yeah. If I was smarter, I would try to time the market more, or maybe that's a bad idea, right? Maybe I should sell at the top, right? But for me, like, because it was very different, I have a very different relationship to Tezos than I did with Ethereum, because Ethereum was just an investment for me. I was mostly like looking from the sidelines. I did a few things here and there, but like not seriously. But with Tezos, it's different because I was building on it directly, and I felt like, what's the word? I feel more committed to it than I was with other things. So, holding through the dips is part of it, But if you really believe that this stuff works and this stuff is real and we're solving real problems, it'll come back up, and you got to have that faith. Like otherwise, yeah, you're not gonna make it. So
something you said recently struck with me.
yeah,
You mentioned that sometimes the struggle of building something is part of what makes it meaningful. Do you think people who stick around in this space tend to actually enjoy that challenge?
you gotta, or you. It makes no sense, man. Fucking, if you want to make money, there are so many less stressful ways to do that, And if you're choosing to do this in art, especially right with NFTs, we're talking about art here, right? We're not talking about like medicine or building a bridge or plunging someone's toilet, which can be very well paying, by the way. If you want to plunge someone's toilet, you can get paid 6 figures. Like there are easier ways to make money, but yeah. So if you're still here, you probably have, there's something going on inside that makes you enjoy it, right? At least on some level. I'm not saying it's easy. Like you're not going to be like happy all the time, but at least for
Why
me,
not, Ryan? I want to be happy all the time.
I want the price to go up all the time too. But but like for real though, but I've been seeing recently like a lot of the things people are talking about, things people are building, it feels a lot more real, and it's just because there's got to be something there more than just the immediate money, right? And as someone that actually make money in this space, I feel like I have to like remind people that it comes later. It's like delayed gratification. And it's a long time, man. Like 16. So markets crashed in 2017, and I had to wait 3 years before it came back up. Back to where it was. But after that, I did make some money after that, but it took a while. Right? So, I don't know.
Ryan, the theme for the upcoming Tezcon event is enshittification.
Yes.
Which comes from the idea that platforms often start out serving users, but eventually shift toward extracting value from them. When you look at the internet today, do you think decentralized platforms actually have a chance to avoid that cycle, or are we just early in the same pattern?
That's an interesting question because these things go in cycles too, right? Like even from the definition. Yeah, it was originally coined by Cory Doctorow, right? In one of his books, and it's basically what you just described, right? Like the process of building and then extraction, right? And so I feel like that happened with crypto already, because in the earlier cycles of crypto, with Satoshi, Bitcoin launched around 2010, 2011, around that time. And then back then, everyone was a builder, and they're still like experimenting and bidding it out. But even crypto has gone through these cycles of like inshitification, right? Like there was one that happened in 2017, like that hype cycle I mentioned earlier. Back then it was ICOs. So everyone and their moms are creating their own coins. And they're like, oh, this is a way to get rich, because it was a way to kind of bypass the traditional startup model, right? So you could just like buy these coins, and you didn't have to be an accredited investor, right? You can just like get some coins, and if it hits big, then you're rich, and everyone just went nuts. And then, but that eventually turned into like an extraction thing, right? Because then meme coins, oh, you lost all your money, oh, here's your fees, right? Like, it's like a casino basically, right? Most people, the house always wins, right? And casinos are there
always.
Yeah, but overall, right? It's designed
In
that
general.
way. In general. Yeah, and then it's the goal is to extract money from you. That's what it is, literally, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, even crypto has gone through that. But it's not just crypto, it's everything. It's like any technology that gets hyped, right? Like for a while it was like big data. Right now it's AI. It's the same pattern over and over. But eventually it loses steam, and then there's a point where people are looking for something different, right? And so AI is a very centralized system, right? Because everything runs through these big data centers, right? And you don't really have much control over a lot of that. I mean, you can run your own node or whatever, but overall, it's a centralizing thing. And I do think at some point there'll be a renewed interest in decentralization, because like crypto was actually a reaction to big data, I would say. Like that was happening in like the early 2010s or so. I don't even remember. Everyone was like, big data, like everyone was just like, and their moms are just talking big data. Even my mom was saying that, like, and she's a teacher at high school. I'm like, big data, what? Like what? Like what data do you want from your kids? Like I don't know, but anyway, it was part of the hype, right? And then but eventually the people got bored of it, and they started looking at more decentralized things, and crypto was that. So then that became popular, and then people got sick of that. It just goes back and forth. So I think that right now there's going to be a point where people kind of start looking for things that are decentralized again. And I think it's getting close. And part of the reason why I'm still in Tezos is because I really do think that we're one of the places that are well positioned for that. Especially Teia, because Teia, we are decentralized like nothing other. Like I don't know any. Yeah, like we are really obsessed with doing things in a decentralized way, and yeah. So
the Tezos art community has survived multiple market cycles, while a lot of NFT platforms have come and gone.
Yep.
Do you think that happened because the technology was better, or because the culture was different?
It was definitely the culture, the saying, like the taller you are, the harder you fall, right? Like we like to joke that, well, like at Teia, for example, our budget has pretty much been zero the whole time. You know, so we have nowhere to fall. Right? Some places they like raise a ton of money, millions and millions of dollars, and they like hire these expensive engineers, and you know, they got nice things, but then they have a huge runway, right? And so they go up, and then they all come crashing down. And the thing is, when you come crashing down, you go underneath the ground. You know, it's not just zero, right? You don't go to zeros. You go underneath because yeah, you might go into debt. Even if you don't, like, it's still like a, you know, hurts the reputation, right? There's all these negatives. So with Teia, at least, I can't speak for other platforms, but we've been running pretty like evenly for a long time. We've been very efficient with our resources because we've had so little. So, but around that is a culture of people just being there because they want to be there, you know, and then a lot of it is like expectations too. Like, people may agree or disagree with this, but we've turned away money many, many times because we wanted, you know, keeping the culture of Teia was more important than, you know, whatever that guy who wants to like, I don't know, it's give us opportunities. So yeah, so we've been doing that for 4 years, but I think now that the culture part has been solidified, we're ready to move it into the next stage of like, and so now we realistically can get more funding, like substantial funding, right? And I think we're better equipped to handle that sort of thing because I've seen a lot of places where an injection of liquidity or money really destroys the culture of it. Like, you know, people have been like, oh, you know, it brings in people, different kinds of crowds, they're there for different reasons. And if we don't have a way to manage all that, especially with people's expectations, right? A lot of times it turns into a disaster. So yeah, that's kind of where we are right now, you know. And since we're starting from ground zero, we did pay off our debts from last year, which is great. And so we have only way to go is up. And I think yeah, we have enough checks and balances to where I feel like the money won't corrupt our mission. So yeah.
So if we fast forward a few years and everything goes right for Teia,
Mm-hmm.
and the tools you're building around it, what does success actually look like? Is it scale, culture, or something else?
Ideally, the culture will stay the same, but we'll have more money to do things. So we're working on a lot of the features that we're adding is we're adding like usable features. We just added a blog system that should go live in the next couple of days, I think. We're adding like things like calendars and like wikis and on-chain messaging, which is what's coming next. And, you know, like we're hoping the fees from that will add up enough to keep our treasury going. Right now, we have enough to just keep it running bare bones, but we have a budget to work with that you can use the DAO to allocate budgets. Then we can start thinking about like, oh, maybe we can pay people for work, or we can put on events around the world. And yeah, so it'd be nice if we can reach a point where we're self-sufficient and we don't have to rely on external funding because everything's just running on its own. And, you know, just provide opportunities and work for artists like that. For me, that's the biggest goal. Like I want Teia to be a place where artists can find like, you know, like realistic ways to earn a living. And so excuse me. We have a long way to get there. It's going to be a long road, but we are making progress, and I think we're in the right direction. So now we're going to see how far we can take it. That's kind of, yeah.
All right, Ryan. So, final question.
Hmm.
What's something about the Teia community that someone on the outside probably wouldn't understand until they actually spend some time inside it?
Huh. It's interesting. We check the receipts. We hold people accountable. We use the ledger for what it was intended. If someone asks you a question, if you ask someone a question relating to a transaction or something related, if you're having an issue, they will ask you for ledger records. It's kind of interesting because part of the reason that what made me like committed to Teia was really like I've had experiences where they asked me, they asked me for receipts, and I'm like, whoa, this feels weird. This hasn't happened anywhere else. you know, Even you think if you're working in the Web3 or blockchain industry, you think that if you're going to make an argument or claims, you'll be willing to show the record of it, because that's literally what the blockchain was designed to do. But if you look on Twitter or anywhere else, like people are just talking out of their ass all the time. Nothing, no receipts, no nothing. And it's just like, just trust me, bro. I'm like, no, that's the whole reason why we're here is because we didn't want to say that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like if you wanna do stuff around Tezos, just understand that we're gonna hold you accountable. And that's a good thing. I hope.
I think so.
I hope. I hope so. I hope people see that as a positive. you know? Yeah.
Ryan, really appreciate you taking the time to join us and share some insight into what's been happening behind the scenes with
Sure.
Cafe and everything you're building.
No, thanks for having me.
For everyone listening, we'll include links to Ryan's work and the Teia platform so you can explore the projects we talked about today. Ryan, thanks again for coming on TezTalks Radio.
Yeah, thank you. See you around, man.